Space, the final frontier. A phrase that has echoed through generations, inspiring millions. But Star Trek was never just about space, it was about humanity. Today we explore how Star Trek changed the world around it, shaping technology, culture, and even our perception of the future. Back in the 1960s, the idea of a handheld communicator seemed like pure science fiction. Today, we call them smartphones. Martin Cooper, the inventor of the first mobile phone, openly admitted he was inspired by Star Trek. But it didn't stop there. Tablets, smartwatches, Bluetooth earpieces, and even voice-controlled AI like Alexa owe their origins to the ideas Star Trek popularized. In an era where American television still lacked diversity, Star Trek broke the mold. Lieutenant Uhura, played by Nichelle Nichols, was one of the first black women in a major TV role, and her presence was so impactful that Martin Luther King Jr. himself encouraged her to stay on the show. George Takei's portrayal of Hikaru Sulu also challenged stereotypes, while the addition of a Russian character, Pavel Chekhov, was a bold statement during the Cold War era. Many of today's astronauts, engineers, and scientists grew up watching Star Trek. The late Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, was a fan. NASA's first space shuttle orbiter was named Enterprise, a decision fueled by Trekkies who sent thousands of letters requesting the name. The show made space exploration seem not only possible, but inevitable. How many times have you heard the phrase, "Beam me up, Scotty," or perhaps, "Live long and prosper"? Star Trek didn't just create a show, it created a language. Terms like warp speed and Kobayashi Maru are now widely used beyond the fandom. Even President Barack Obama flashed the Vulcan salute during his presidency. Science fiction is at its best when it holds a mirror to society, and Star Trek was never afraid to do so. From tackling racism and war to issues of gender identity and artificial intelligence, the series pushed boundaries. The first interracial kiss on American television, that was Captain Kirk and Uhura in 1968. Topics like AI rights, first explored in Star Trek: The Next Generation, are now real-world ethical debates. Before the MCU, before Star Wars conventions, there was Star Trek fandom. It's no exaggeration to say that the modern fan convention scene owes much to Star Trek. Trekkies were some of the first to create fan fiction, art, and even academic studies of their favorite show. Without them, we might not have the convention culture that thrives today. Before binge-watching, before deep interconnected TV universes, Star Trek was pioneering serialized storytelling. The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine embraced long-form character arcs, paving the way for shows like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. Star Trek proved that television could be both intellectual and deeply emotional. Remember the Star Trek tricorder? Today, real-life tricorders are being developed to diagnose illnesses on the spot. Replicators? We call that 3D printing now. The line between science fiction and reality keeps getting thinner. Star Trek didn't just create fictional worlds, it created real languages. Klingon, first introduced in the movies, now has dictionaries, online courses, and fluent speakers. Shakespearean plays have even been translated into Klingon. It's one of the most developed fictional languages in history. Beyond the gadgets and aliens, Star Trek made us think. The Prime Directive, a rule against interfering with less advanced civilizations, is still debated in political and academic circles. What is consciousness? What defines a sentient being? These are questions Star Trek has posed for decades. From our technology to our values, from our stories to our dreams, Star Trek has shaped the world around us in ways Gene Roddenberry might never have imagined. It reminds us that the final frontier isn't just space, it's the future we choose to create. Like, subscribe and share for more in-depth explorations into how pop culture shapes our world. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you in the next video. Fade to black.